I never come to the Belmont Foundation for Education without a check. I'm going to put that down here. Hi, my name is Bob Mahoney, and I'm very proud to represent Belmont Savings Bank. You know, this partnership with the foundation has been absolutely terrific for us. It's now 5 years, 6 years old. Over $60,000 has been donated, and a lot of it comes from you, because every time you open a checking account at Belmont Savings, you get $50 and the foundation gets $50. And today I'm happy to say that we've had a very busy winter season for new checking, so I have a check for $4,000 for Elizabeth. Did I mention we love checking accounts? So, now, I'd like to speak about a truly impressive member of the Belmont community, Warren Farrell, also a member of the Belmont Savings Bank Board of Directors. He has been a real friend of education, a friend of students, and we're so happy to honor him tonight. You may not know that he's a founding member of the Foundation for Belmont Education almost 25 years ago in 1993. He served in the Belmont School Committee from 68 to 75 and acted as a chairman his last 3 years. He was a founding board member of the Alumni and Friends of Belmont High School, 2007. He led the fundraising for the Belmont Boosters throughout the 70s. He established a wrestling scholarship for Belmont students. And is also one of the driving reasons that the Underwood Pool was rebuilt. And a little secret, I think there was some nostalgia there because his parents actually met at the original Underwood Pool. So it was kind of fun for him to bring it back to life. So this is a guy who has thought about education, thought about students, put his muscle and his mind and his wealth behind it. And it's very exciting now to honor him tonight, and this award is going to be presented now annually to a teacher or other educator who has displayed career-long dedication and effectiveness in promoting educational excellence in Belmont School. And a very special educator is going to be presented this award tonight. But before we get to that recipient, I'd like to introduce my friend and congratulate Warren Farrell. Warren?
Thanks, Bob. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks, Elizabeth. When I was asked if I wanted to speak tonight, I thought about it a little bit. I said, gee, I'm not an educator. I'm a long way from even going to school. What have I got to offer? And then I thought, but gee, the Farrells have benefited 3 generations from the Belmont schools. So we're happy customers. We're clients. We're beneficiaries. And maybe the schools would like to hear about that a little bit. I won't be long, but here we go. My grandfather moved to Belmont in the 1920s. He had only achieved the 8th grade in schooling in Boston, and then he had to go to work. He wanted somewhere for my father, his son, to be benefited by a suburban education. So how much has changed in almost 100 years, moving from Boston out to the suburbs. My father benefited greatly from the Belmont schools. He was terrific in sports. He's in the Hall of Fame for athletics, and he went on to Bates College. It was a terrific experience for him. And as Bob just mentioned, he met my mother here. He was the instructor at the Underwood Pool, and she was the counselor, and so they met. My mother, by the way, taught in the Belmont schools, in the Payson Park School. A lot of you are going to say, the Payson Park School Elementary, there is no such thing. Well, there wasn't anymore, but there was. It burned down when I was on the school committee. The old high school, the high school before the one that we had now, also burned when I was on the school committee. But I had no connection, I promise, but they were both fortuitous fires. So anyhow, my folks had me and had my sister. My sister had 2 boys, 3 boys total that profited from the schools, and my wife and I did. I met my wife also in this area, just outside here in the playgrounds. I was an instructor, and she came over to play tennis. She was a fair amount younger than I was, but I did enjoy watching her play tennis. She also, like my mother who taught, she also went to Leslie, and she had a degree in teaching. And she taught both here, both at the Daniel Butler and at the Winbrook School. She never taught full-time because suddenly she had a family and it just didn't seem she had enough time. But all of we Farrells benefited. We had 3 sons. Our eldest, Ted, is here right now. Hi, Ted. His wife is in education. She teaches elementary school, not here, in Reading. Our middle son, Steve graduated in 1983, and he met his wife here. She was in the same class. Her name was Dawn McNulty, an old Belmont family. So I'm just building a case for all this. Our youngest son, Richard, had the most fun in school that I've ever seen anyone have. I think it was because his 2 brothers had paved the way. But anyhow, he just had a wonderful time. He was class president and laughing all the way. He's married, lives in California now with 3 kids, and I'll tell you about one of the granddaughters. So that's our story. We're the happy, content, grateful consumers, clients, beneficiaries. I've got one quick story. It's about legacy. And all of you teachers, you're doing legacy all the time. You don't know it. Sometimes it's short-term, sometimes it's long-term, sometimes it doesn't happen at all. Okay, the best teacher that I ever had anywhere was here in Belmont in the high school. She was an English teacher, and her name was Mrs. Hornsby, and she was terrific. So I still remember the day that she came out from around the desk and said, "We're going to talk about Shakespeare. We're going to talk about the sonnets." I said, "Whoa, okay, let's see." And she talked about all the sonnets. She didn't talk about all the sonnets, but she talks about Shakespeare and the sonnets. And she said specifically she's going to talk about the 116th sonnet. Now, I don't know how many English people are here, English Shakespeare students, but it was terrific. That's the one that starts off. I used to be able to recite the whole thing, but that's the one that starts off, "Let me not to the marriage of 2 minds admit impediments. Love is not love when adulteration finds, nor bends with the remover to remove." There's more. And that impressed the dickens out of me. I, at that moment, became a Shakespeare enthusiast. I read all the plays. I like the tragedies better than the comedies. And it was just terrific. And she made that legacy in me that I talk when I was courting Lois. I memorized a sonnet. And it was the one, "Shall I compare you to a summer day? Oh no," etc. I think she liked it. It's too late for her to repent. We've been married 58 years. So anyhow, just the one final agenda on the legacy. Ted's and Laura's daughter got married just a couple of months ago. Big reception. I gave a toast. And after the toast, when I was feeling pretty good about myself and people were congratulating me on my toast, a 14-year-old Californian granddaughter came over to me, and I was smiling, and she said, "Grampy." I said, "Yes." She said, "I was disappointed in your toast." I was like, "Oh, gee." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because you always have a Shakespeare item, a remembrance, a quote, a takeaway, and you didn't in your toast tonight. And I stood there and I thought, oh my goodness, I've finally got someone who's paying attention to me. And I said, all this time I've been hoping, and she remembers, she's paying attention, she asked a question, this is so great. I didn't say that to her. But I wanted to say, I love you, but I didn't. But think about, you teachers, think about the legacy, okay? The legacy of Mrs. Hornsey in the 1950s, because that's when I went to school, okay? That's when she affected me. It's gone through all my life. I use, read, enjoy, share Shakespeare. And now it's going to be reflected to a 14-year-old girl in California who wants to take a Shakespeare course this fall. So talk about a legacy. That's what you people, that's what you teachers are leaving with families like ours. We honor you, we respect you, we admire you, we love you, and we thank you.